Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Today, quickly turning into tonight, we will be reading more of Animorphs number 11, The Forgotten by K.A. Applegate. And as always, this video is not intended for kids. This video is instead intended for adults who are discovering or rediscovering the joy that is Animorphs. And what a fucking week it has been. It's like everything basically got to its worst point on Wednesday. So I'm going to keep this part brief just because it's an intro and not an actual vlog. So Wednesday started with me finding a letter where my insurance company said, hey, yeah, we're not going to insure you for no real reason. So that led to me and Rev Resner calling the insurance company and finding out they just had accidentally sent these letters out. Then the thing is, I had to quickly get up and go to a doctor's appointment. And because I guess I got the address just slightly off for some fucking reason, I didn't put the name of the doctor in on the appointment day. We got a little lost, and me and Revs, when we get agitated, our snark sort of multiplies, and so it was just very uncomfortable for both of us. Then after we got back from the doctor's appointment, so for around a month, Revs has been having constipation issues, which made so his colonoscopy on Tuesday had to be canceled. And so we finally got to go into the ER to hopefully, just flush him out, clear out the system. Instead, we waited 3 hours. We spent around 3 hours there. The doctor's like, yeah, everything's fine. And uh, I saw, some firsthand fat phobia. Now listen, weight can affect your health, whether it's you're too fat or too skinny, both unhealthy. But there's a right way and a wrong way to discuss, those things. And the right way is not going and not allowing the person to explain their whole situation. Like Revs, the the implant in his back, not really working that well has made so he can't really be that active. So, he can't, really exercise because he can't. And he's been eating healthier, but that didn't matter to the doctor. The doctor just saw him being fat and like, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat. And at one point, when Revs was, congratulating me for, sort of helping him eat healthier, the doctor took that as him, and that the doctor took that as Revs blaming me for making him fat, and it was like the most uncomfortable situation. And oh my fucking god, that is just the short version. Like, if this was a long vlog, I could probably go for 10 or 30 minutes just about this utter chaos. But it's Friday now and things are much calmer, so whew. And tomorrow's actually my birthday, so I'm going to be having a nice steak. I'm going to have a cute, adorable puppy cake. It's going to be great. It's just going to basically be me and Rev, so woo! Oh god. So let's get to reading the book now that I've spent like 4 minutes about my personal life. Okay. Oh, good. Sorry, I would have made it a real short opening, but Wednesday, just this is my therapy. But my health insurance does not cover that. But anyways, let's get on to the whole reason you actually started watching this video. 5:15 p.m. Hi, Dad. What's up? I asked when I got home. My father was in his lazy boy, remote control in hand. What do you mean? "What's up?" he asked, genuinely surprised. "The fight's on tonight. $40 on pay-per-view. Corn chips, bean dip, loud grunting male noises. Beer for me, soda for you and Tom." I practically slapped my forehead. The fight! I totally forgotten. It was a big thing. Not because I'm a boxing fanatic. I'm not. But it was a big thing for my dad to actually spend $40 on pay-per-view. He was doing it as a male bonding father-son thing. Me and him and Tom and probably one or two of my dad's friends from work. "That's tonight?" I asked. "What time?" "Starts at 7 o'clock. Do your homework, eat something containing vegetables to make your mom happy, and then grab some couch." I did a quick mental calculation. The fight started in a little over an hour. The last championship fight had lasted only 3 rounds. That would leave me maybe 30 minutes to morph and fly to the motel. Should I come up with some excuse for bailing out? No, there was no way my dad would buy it. "Excellent," I said to my dad. "I'll be here. Don't eat all the bean dip. You know what happens when you eat bean dip." My mother came into the living room. "Am I even allowed in here?" she asked mockingly. "When does this room become the temple of male aggression?" "Not till 7, my dad said. "Until then, we will allow females, especially if the females remember to pick up chips on their way home from work." Chips? Wouldn't you rather enjoy some nice carrot sticks and hummus dip? My dad and I just stared at her. "Kidding," she said. "Just kidding. I have chips. Are Peta and Dominic coming over?" "Yeah, but you don't have to feed them," my dad joked. "Those guys are lucky I don't charge them admission." I raced through my homework and hoped the fight would be the usual 2 or 3 round easy knockout. The one good thing about rushing was that it didn't leave me too much time to think. Thinking meant worry, and worry gets in the way of getting things done. It was a tense family gathering at 7 o'clock. Tom seemed as anxious as I was to get away. I could I I could guess why. You see, Tom is one of them. He's a human controller. He had to keep up appearances of normalcy, same as me. But I guess he was trying to get away to go to the grocery store site, too. Same as me. Again. Tom and I fought in the same war, on different sides. It was strange thinking of Tom, still alive deep down inside his own head, trapped, powerless, but able to see and hear and think. Did he enjoy watching the fight through eyes he no longer controlled? Was there anything at all he could enjoy? It didn't help having thoughts like that. When I started thinking that way, the rage would just build up inside me till I felt like I'd go nuclear. I told myself for probably the millionth time that I was doing all I could to help Tom. All I could. All I could. Fortunately, my dad and his work friends made plenty of noise, so no one noticed Tom checking his watch, or the fact that I kept glancing toward the kitchen, where I could see the wall clock. By round 6, I knew I was in trouble. In round 7, neither fighter even looked tired. I decided if it went past round 8, I'd have to make some excuse, no matter how lame. In round 8, a lucky uppercut connected. Ow! That had to hurt. My dad said, $5 as he goes down. My dad's friend Dominic said quickly. He was right. The challenger staggered, wandered around on rubber legs for a few seconds, then toppled over. Boom! The fight was over. It was now 7:45. I was already late. I snatched the videotape out of the VCR. Dad, can I take this over to Marco's and play it for him? It's almost 8. It's dark out. My father objected. Yeah, Tom said. You might get lost and never come back. And that would be such a pity. I'd have to use your room for my weights and stuff. It was exactly the kind of dumb Big Brother joke Tom would have made. But of course, it was just something pulled up from Tom's brain by the yerk in his head. For just a second, it occurred to me to ask him, "Hey, Tom, what's the big secret with the grocery store? Just tell me, and I can stay home tonight." I smiled at the thought. Then, flash! Green! Green! Everything was green! It was the greenest place on earth! Trees, moss, vines, ferns, green everywhere! Marco was there, and the others. They were all there. Marco was talking. In a jungle fighting brain-stealing aliens and 10,000 annoying species of bugs, and our resident space cadet is a odd-looking monkey. Somebody wake me up when we get back to reality. Flash! I was back listening to Tom tease me like he was actually Tom. Back to hearing my dad say, "Walk, don't ride your bike. Not at night. Especially not when it's about to rain." The vision was so powerful, so real. Not like a dream at all, but like I was actually there in the jungle, listening to Marco complain. I felt my heart pounding. I felt sweat forming on my forehead. What in the heck was going on? What was happening to me? I noticed Tom back out of the room, sliding away like he was going to the kitchen. That brought me back to reality. I grabbed the videotape and took off, still reeling from the insane feeling of being yanked back and forth from one reality to another. I could hear my dad and his friends rehashing the fight round by round as I went up to my room and opened my window as wide as it would go. It took me 25 minutes to morph and fly to the empty motel. I know, I'm late. I apologize as I came in for a landing. I misjudged the distance to the ground, hit it too hard, and rolled over a tangle of wings and talons. Nice landing, Tobias said with a laugh. Are you okay? Cassie asked me. She rushed over and picked me up. Then she set me back down because I was starting to demorph and I was getting heavier pretty quickly. I'm fine, I said as soon as I could speak. Embarrassed, but fine. It was a shabby little hiding place. The back windows of the motel were covered in plywood. The plywood was covered with graffiti. There were overgrown weeds and broken bottles and, for some reason, an old washing machine. We get to visit all the best places, don't we? I said dryly. Hex was hugging the darkness against the wall. He feels a little obvious out of the woods, with good reason. Anyone who saw him would run away, screaming like a little kid, unless, of course, they were a controller. A controller would know exactly what he was. Well? Rachel asked, looking at me. She was waiting for me to say, "Let's go." But for some reason, I felt a strange reluctance. I don't even know what I felt. Just that moment, that very moment, was terribly important. The others all stared at me, waiting. All I had to say was, "Let's go." Instead, I looked at my watch. 8:19. 8:19! Like it meant something. Like, oh man, I was going nuts. I was losing it. What was the matter with me? Should we do this? I wondered. I was surprised to realize I'd spoken out loud. I'd been talking to myself. Why not? I say we do it, Rachel said. There's a huge shock, Marco muttered. Everyone who is surprised Rachel wants to go for it, raise your hand. Yeah, I said, shaking off my doubts as well as I could. Yeah, let's go. I was pretty sure it was the right thing to do, but the responsibility was on me. I could have stopped it. I could have talked them all out of it. I could have done something different. But I didn't. At least, not then. Let's morph, I said. And that's the end of that chapter. Okay, let me make sure of something. Okay, there's the battery of life. Whenever I finish doing dramatic reading, I like to keep track of this bad boy's battery charge because I actually had to get a new one because this one's battery, doesn't last as long as it should. So yeah, I have to be very careful. Oh yeah. So this was a good chapter, in my opinion. It showed that all the struggle against the Yeerks isn't just, fighting the Yeerks, it's also managing having both a normal life and, the life of an Animorph, and like balancing those things out. And that one part of their life, like the battle, the Animorphs part could affect their normal life, or their normal life could affect the Animorphs' life. And this chapter goes to show how Jake is so caught up in being a leader and those responsibilities. Like, he's having to decide how if they should go on missions, if they shouldn't go on missions, how they should approach those missions. Like, he's basically holding the lives of his friends in his hands. And so that's a big responsibility for anyone to shoulder, never mind like a 13-year-old kid. So he's going to get so distracted by that part of his life that it's hard for him to remember, oh yeah, I have this normal side of my life that I have to pretend hasn't changed at all. And it distracts him from realizing, oh yeah, this very important thing that's happening in my family, I totally forgot it. And like, even his dad's like, what the heck, Jake? Don't you remember? And it's like, yeah, because that's how much responsibility weighs on him, that runs the risk of distracting from everything else. And I do like that the landing thing is brought up again. Like, before, Jake's like, in another chapter, Jake's like, yeah, landing's like the hardest things. And look, here comes Tobias, acting like he was born a fucking bird. And now in this chapter, he's like all rushed. He's flustered because, like, oh shit, I forgot that one thing. Now I have to see if that thing, that family thing, fits in my schedule for fighting the Yeerks. Okay, it just does barely. Oh gosh, I'm late. And then with all this stress on him, he just like fucking tumbles. And going back to the introduction for this video, I'd probably be like that on Wednesday. Like, if I had to land on Wednesday, I would just be like, boing, 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 boing. And also, dear Jake, birds have to learn to fly. They just don't naturally know. I know that because I've had birds for years, and they do not actually instinctively know, how things go about, and they improve over time. Yeah. God. Yeah. And Rachel's like, okay, Jake, are we doing this or not? It's like, I think Rachel is actually a little bit scared. And she's just putting on this whole facade of not being scared, which is what I'm trying to do with Jake's voice as the series goes on. He's getting better at doing a sort of monotone, controlled voice. Though, make it seem like he's in control. He's not really that phased. But that's the voice he'll put on when, shit really hits the fan for him and he has to hide his nervousness, because a good leader doesn't let, anyone else know they're afraid. And with that thing about, and I'll end this segment by saying I like near the end, it did bring up responsibility and leadership. Like, he's in control of this whole situation, control of the fates of his friends, and that scares him. So my question for today's video is, let's see, good question. Let's see. Are any of you boxing fans? Because I'm asking this because when I was reading that part, I don't really know Was okay, let me sort of modify the question. For anyone who is into boxing, what were any of Jake's statements? Were there any mistakes in Jake's statements about boxing? Because I have no clue about boxing. Like, if there were any mistakes in that part of the chapter, please tell me, please let me know. And also, please comment on anything else in this chapter. The good, the bad, the ugly. Comment on everything except for things that would involve major spoilers. Major spoilers for later on in the series. Because I am hoping against hope people get into Animorphs or back into Animorphs because of these videos, and there's some pretty major twists and turns that are going to happen, and that shouldn't be spoiled for the first read through. I was going to say something, but I'm going to go, that'd be a tangent for something else. But anyways, if you watch this video and you're like, hey, Animorphs seems like a pretty cool thing, and it's much more than, kids turning to animals. There's actually some depth to it. Well, everywhere I post this video, I post a link to where you can buy your very own copy of Animorphs number 11, The Forgotten by K. Applegate. And if you buy via my links, you will be supporting the original content creators. So, K. Applegate, Michael Grant, the people who brought this joy into our lives. And also be telling Scholastic that, hey, people are still really interested in this series. We all want more and more Animorphs content. Come on. It will do that. And finally, I'm a member of the Amazon Associates program, so I will also be getting a little money from, you buying via the link. So, yay! So, please remember that if you're deciding where to buy your very own copy of Animorphs number 11 from. And finally, not finally, subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I won't just be reading all of Animorphs number 11, I will also be reading the entire Animorphs series, except for Alternamorphs, because fuck them. If you have not read them, you will not know why I feel such utter wrath toward them. Don't read them. Don't. Just don't. Don't. And finally, if you think you would have trouble landing when you first morphed a bird, please like this video. And also, actually, if you own birds and you have any cute bird stories, please comment down below. I love birds. Oh, and before I go, I just want to say, have a great weekend. Like, if you had a stressful week like me, I hope the weekends where you can just cool off and everything is fine. And also, I saw a bobcat walking very close to the window, like just as I was starting to set up. And I didn't have my phone with me, so I just watched it walk by, and I rushed, got my phone, and I took a little picture of it. Not very clear, but it's really funny because the bobcat must have known I was taking a picture of it, because instead of walking by, just, continuing walking, or like I was inside the house, like, it did not even pay me any mind before. But when I went to take a picture, I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to miss it. It just sort of turns and is like, do you want, I'm showing you my good side, and then walked away. So yeah. So maybe that cute cat story makes you feel a little better. And again, hope you have a safe weekend, and remember to vote. Bye.